I see your shoes are leather free, but what about the glue?
You're eating a vegan cookie, but what about the sugar?
Vegans are so hypocritical. What about all the animals killed in agriculture?
You step on bugs every day.
Are you vegan enough?
Are you?
Hey guys, welcome back to The Vegan View. Today we have the lovely Devyn here with us. You'll recognize her from some of our other videos here on this channel. She is an amazing guest, an amazing vegan, and we love her.
Aww.
And we are so happy to have her here for today's episode, especially because we are going to talk about, are you vegan enough? And this is something that I know vegans everywhere can understand and relate to, because you have for sure at some point been confronted with a question that made you ask yourself, are you vegan enough?
Yes.
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 It happens a lot, and this is something that I actually struggle with internally, I feel like all the time.
Yes.
And it's hard to know, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the wrong choice? And
Is it hard to be perfect? I thought that was an easy thing to do.
Weird, it's so easy
maybe
for me.
you. Yeah, maybe for you guys.
Can't relate. Can't relate. I'm perfect. Bye. It's just so ridiculous the amount of pressure we're put under, and I'm like, I'm a human being. I'm not good at things.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so like what I was saying in the intro, for the first thing, sugar. There's always the question, is the sugar vegan? And oh my gosh, I have a hard time. I don't eat all like 100% vegan sugar.
No, yeah, we do taste tests on this channel all the time of like vegan things that are accessible to people
Or accidentally
vegan. And the reality of it is like, it's not that black and white, and it's not that simple. And
especially in the case of bone char.
yeah.
It's not purposefully like a not vegan thing. Sugar, like white refined sugar, is processed through like the like carbon from charring excess animal bones. Like they're just there. They're not using it. There's not creating a supply and demand for it.
Right.
It's just there's so much left over. They're using that as a cheap alternative.
So it becomes a technicality. And so I think what you said about it affecting supply and demand, I think as vegans, I think you have to really focus on the bigger picture and how your actions are affecting real life situations. So the animals, the environment, your health. So avoiding a cheeseburger is going to have a huge impact, you know, and so you have to focus on the good that you're doing and not perfection. We always say progress, not perfection.
And it's not like I would ever intentionally buy something that's not vegan. Like, I know that veganism is a social justice movement and that I am helping the voiceless animals by investing my dollar into things that don't hurt them and can use their bodies as commodities. So, of course, like, I'm going to make mistakes sometimes, but veganism is avoiding animals for food, fashion, and entertainment whenever practicable, whenever able to be practiced, which is so important because there are some things that are just like unavoidable, like stepping on bugs.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, like when I go out and buy my cosmetics and my hair care products, cleaning products, everything that I buy is vegan and not tested on animals. And that's something that is non-negotiable. I'm never going to go out and buy, you know, the Clorox spray or whatever. It's going to be like the vegan natural alternative. That being said, if it's owned by Procter & Gamble or some other company, I used to be a lot more like militant and intense about that, and I wouldn't shop at companies that I wouldn't shop at Sephora because the Sephora brand is sold in China. I wouldn't buy anything that was under the umbrella company that had other brands that were tested on animals, but I'm realizing that putting my dollar towards the products that do align with my beliefs is, I think, doing a lot more good for the movement than not shopping at those places altogether or buying those products altogether.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it becomes a question of like personal purity, and I think a lot of times when we're confronted with this, I think we're our own biggest critic, and so we always want to do and be the best that we possibly can, and especially when it comes to veganism, like that's the goal, is to like save as many animals as possible. And I think we get lost in the idea of like, oh, I have to be perfect at this, and you can spiral. There's so many other things that you're probably accidentally contributing to that aren't vegan that you're not even aware of, like your cell phone and your computer and all of these things. So when you start to get that minute about it, it becomes like, well, where else are you messing up? Are you shopping at a gas station that has snacks that are not vegan? You're paying money to the gas station. Are you going to a grocery store and only buying the vegan option? Yeah, but guess what? That grocery store is also selling non-vegan products. Yeah. When you go out to eat at a restaurant and you're buying the vegan option, like that restaurant is still making money that they're going to go spend on animal products. Like
shared grills, like it's totally, there's personal purity and then like the movement itself. And I think I think there's a lot of pressure to be like kind of dogmatic and be like, oh, I'm just keeping myself clean and pure and vegan, like as a kind of ideal, rather than being like, no, I'm putting my money to make steps towards a brighter future for the animals.
Yeah, I think we have to focus on like the big picture when it comes to that. And supply and demand is a thing. Like I can tell you as somebody who's been shopping cruelty-free as far as like beauty products go for quite a few years now, I have noticed that so many of the brands that were not cruelty-free are now cruelty-free. And the reason for that is because of people spending money on cruelty-free products. Yeah, oh, you should be supporting the only vegan companies, the only cruelty-free companies, the smaller indie brands. In a perfect world, absolutely, but those brands are already vegan. They're already like there's not any change that needs to be made there. Where the change needs to be made is with these bigger companies, and it is important to email them. Do you have any vegan products? Hey, are you guys planning on going cruelty-free anytime soon? And just making that known. And another way to make that known is by voting with your dollar.
Yeah. When we started the show, the amount of like cruelty-free beauty products, home products, vegan, plant-based animal alternatives has grown so much. It's
overwhelming almost.
Insane. Like I remember starting and just being like, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but it is. And it's because it has become, we have opened more doors. We have showed people like, this is what we buy. This is available here. And it's because it's more tangible and more accessible that there's real large scale change.
Right. It's a privilege to be able to afford only indie beauty brands or only organic, like, you know,
co-op
type products,
farmers market.
Exactly. So I feel like we have to recognize that, like, while you may be in a place of privilege to do that, other people are not in that same place of privilege, and there is an accessibility factor that we have to factor in, that the rest of the world and the rest of America is not going to be able to live this perfect, unrealistic, ideal, like vegan life, and that we have to accept all phases of the journey that they're on. So, you know, when you first start going vegan, you're thinking about the food primarily, and then you start looking at other areas of your life, and it has to be easy for people. Otherwise, we make it impossible.
How do you guys handle the vegan police then? Because as a vegan, you have this internal battle sometimes with whether or not you are being vegan enough, but a lot of times the criticism is coming from the outside, and we have a lot of people sort of saying, oh, you're a hypocrite if you eat plants because they were grown in the like I said in the intro, there are small animals that are killed in the agriculture industry, and so they're saying, well, what about those? Don't you care about those? And I think that it can be really tricky to know how to answer those questions. So how do you deal with it?
I get that question all the time.
Yeah, really.
I get people who like accuse me of wearing non-vegan false eyelashes when I'm on camera, but it's like, honey,
I get that too.
Yeah. Like, I do wear false lashes, but they're not made out of animals.
There's so many vegan options.
I posted a food pic yesterday, and someone was like, I'm unfollowing you, you're not vegan. I'm like, it's literally vegan.
Yeah, it's like,
it was a salad. And it's just like, it's a lot of just stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm doing my best, and that's what the vegan food's about.
Yeah.
It's an I'm doing my best channel, and like encouraging you guys from like what we've learned and what like the amount of experience you've had that we've all had together and grown. Like, let's help you out. Let's all do our best. The vegan police can literally fuck all the way off.
I know.
The negativity, people need to be held accountable for being rude and terrible, and like, you're not bad because they're being mean to you.
Yeah. So I actually had an experience recently that I want to tell you all about. Because it got me kind of riled up, and then I'm but I've thought about it since
Right.
then because it bugged me. So there's this app based in LA, or I think it's based in LA, and they team up with restaurants to give people access to like discounted food or free food if you pay a subscription fee. So obviously on the app there's going to be vegan restaurants, vegetarian, meat, like barbecue, whatever. It's LA. And so they asked me to do a takeover and promote Double Zero, which is a 100% plant-based restaurant.
Amazing restaurant.
Yeah, so good. So I went and I did the takeover. I promoted it on my own social, and then I had one person, and I hope you're watching this right now because you suck. And she was like, this app actually cooks dead animals. They have dead flesh. And I'm like, it's an app?
Does that?
Yeah. So it's like, it's an app. They're not cooking anything. And she's like, I went to their page and there's a bunch of dead animal flesh. And I said, isn't it awesome that a non-vegan app with non-vegan users is promoting and making a plant-based pizza accessible? Like, congrats to you on being a level 6,000 vegan, but this is great. And she was like, God, blah, 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 blocked. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
Peace. So
I
it's
love
like,
a good block. It just means you just kind of...
I know. And so, but I was just like, that's how I handle it. I pose it back to them. Yeah, it's
in a positive way.
Yeah, like, isn't it?
It's not that you don't see the it's you see it and you're celebrating the change.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it is positive, but I also get real sassy when someone makes me mad.
Well, it gets under your skin because people online especially tend to be a lot more vegan policey. Even
they
would
can
be
hide.
in real life.
Yeah.
And I love that you said sassy because I feel like sassy is not from a place of shaming other people. It's more of like turning it back.
Yeah.
And of self-confidence and not of shaming. It's just like a happy, positive, firm way to give it back.
Yeah.
And you can really be that way when you know your why and you know your intention and you know
100%.
that you are confident in why you've decided to support this brand. I think that's a big part of dealing with the vegan police for me is understanding like where I'm coming from specifically so that when I do encounter all kinds of comments, some of them are just little like genuine questions. People are curious. Veganism is still very new and foreign to a lot of people. And then some of it is kind of snide and judgmental
Trying to catch
online.
you or...
Yeah. Oh, I hate when they try
But
to catch you.
regardless,
Not on this. I was gonna say.
But regardless, if you're very confident in your why and you know your intention, it makes it so much easier.
100%.
Totally. Yeah.
I feel like I can pop off super easy. So when I get a comment like that, I try my best to forget about it for a second, do something else to distract me, and don't post hot and wait until I can like really absorb it. And then literally within like 30 minutes, I'll have a different opinion and a different response to the person. So I think it's always advisable in any situation if somebody's coming at you, like if you have the opportunity to not respond right away, then definitely take it. In person, obviously, it's more difficult. But I love what you said, Nikki, about having that confidence in yourself, because I recently had a couple instances where people said they were going to unfollow me and basically saying I wasn't vegan enough. And my channel's not huge. Like, I value all of my followers so freaking much. So when people say that, it does hurt my feelings. And I didn't respond, and I thought about it, and I really like had to tell myself, you know what? No. You are as vegan as you can be. And the thing is like, I am happy with what I do for the movement. I feel really good about what I do. And so I think when you're coming from a place of being like, whatever this person is saying to you is projecting, no matter what. Like, it's coming from a place of insecurity for themselves, even if it might not seem that way, that you really have to just be like, it's not about me, it's about them. I am confident and secure in my decision, and no one's going to tell me that I'm not enough.
And you have to give yourself a little bit of time to have that feeling, like she said. Like, you have to be able to give yourself time to reflect and really think about why you're doing what you're doing and the kind of person that you want to be in the world. And I think that sometimes, especially in this day and age, we get really caught up with so much content, and there's always something to occupy our time and our thoughts. And it's like you're in the car and there's music and there's podcasts, and if you're standing in line, it's like there's Instagram to immediately go to. So a lot of times we don't sit with our thoughts and really think things through. And I think especially when you're dealing with criticism, it can be a mirror, and that can be really difficult when that mirror is when your actions are being reflected back at you, if you don't take the time to sit and really reflect and think about why you decide to live the way that you do. And if you don't do that, you're not going to have a leg to stand on when people attack your veganism or anything.
And you should really look at your life and examine it and be proud of how much you're doing. Like, if you are vegan and you're doing your best, that is something incredible. It's confidence. It's like when you're confronted with this just horrible vegan police, like not vegan enough, you're not enough, shame. It takes a lot of confidence to not be able to have that like impact you, and like those people should be held accountable for what they say, especially if it's horrible and scary. But like, especially last year, I was just like so paralyzed by like the thought of what other people thought about like what kind of shoes I was wearing. Was my clothing vegan enough? Was like, it's just everything, I was questioning everything. Instead of just every decision I was making, I was like, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best in the moment that I can. And like changing that thought pattern allowed me to shorten the list of people I care about whose opinion of me matters. And that has just been like life changing. So these like people, strangers, even people in your life, they don't have to be on that list. My list is like 3 people long. One of them is my dog. Like I care about what he thinks about me and like a couple other people. And like if they're like, yeah, you're doing great, like who cares what everyone else is saying? I feel like I'm doing my best.
I feel like we've talked a lot about like the vegan police being other vegans, but there's definitely vegan police that are not vegan at all. Do you guys have like experience with that, and how do you handle that?
Literally yesterday, like, people are like, what's this? Like people, I feel like a lot of non-vegans, if they don't have a negative experience of a vegan, they ask like nice, like inquisitive questions. But if they know some vegan who's done them wrong, it's a different story. And then you're like, whoa. I just have to remember it's not about me in those cases. I'm like, ooh, someone did you dirty and it wasn't me. Like, you know? Or sometimes it was me and I have to make up for it. Like some of my friends who are non-vegan, who I was kind of like, not the nicest to in the beginning. And they've just been along with me for a ride. Like, I have to come clean and like apologize and, you know.
I feel like one of the comments we get on our channel a lot from non-vegans is, you guys aren't even vegan because of the agriculture, and like now there's all these amazing, wonderful articles out from what source? I don't know, probably the dairy industry, about almond milk being bad for you and oat milk being bad for you. And it's like, I think non-vegans like love to share that, or like point fingers and say like, oh well, you drink almond milk and that's bad for the environment, so you use so much water. And it's like,
have you ever compared it to anything else? No. Stop posting the like Daily Mail article. It's like, no, the Daily Mail. Oi.
I feel like there's what I do to myself, because admittedly there are areas in my life where I can improve and be more sustainable. I mean, I think I'm being as vegan as possible, but sustainability and like being more eco-friendly, there's room for improvement. But you have to look at what you're doing and be proud of that, and know that you're making more progress towards a better future than the person who's sitting back and doing nothing.
I love
it's
that.
easy to criticize.
So
because it prevents them from having to take action.
So to kind of like encapsulate everything, what do you consider to be vegan enough?
I think that if you're doing everything you can to abstain from harming animals, and you're not consuming dairy, meat, or eggs, you're a vegan. You're a vegan. Even if you're using a lipstick that you bought that was tested on animals, even, you know, if your car has leather seats, it's not like you're gonna sell your car and buy a new one the moment you decide to become vegan. Like, you're doing what you can, and what's attainable, like, with your lifestyle.
I think it's about intention. So if you're using something you already have that's not vegan, but you have no intention of buying anything in the future, like, you know, your shoes, you have a pair of shoes and you're not intending to buy leather shoes in the future, or whatever it might be, like, that is what matters at the end of the day. It's not like, I think, you know, we did a video where, I don't remember what it was that we talked about, but basically it was about like calling yourself vegan, like what does that mean? And they were like, well, what if I just like what if I like felt like having a cookie and I had a cookie, but like I eat vegan all the rest of the time, am I vegan? And I think we all kind of like, we had a discussion about it where we were like, we would never just be like, I want a cookie right now, so I'm gonna eat it. There's a vegan option, and it's just not worth it to us.
And I mean, even if there isn't, like, I don't want to partake in it. Like, I went to Quebec and I like used to love poutine, and like there weren't any vegan options at like any places that we were going to, and I was just like, I'm not just gonna, and everyone, all like my family members or friends were just like, just have it because you're here now, and I'm like, my whole life is about helping these animals. Like, of course not. I'm not gonna have it. It's not.
It doesn't
food
even
to
look
me.
like food after a while, though, too. Like,
I mean, it still looks like delicious French fries with cheese on top because, like, there's a vegan option for that.
But if you think about what it is, like, in my brain, I'm just like,
it's just not an option.
Yeah, for me, it's like what it stands for. I'm like, no,
and
it makes me mad.
It's one thing if you accidentally eat a cookie, someone tells you this cookie is vegan. Oh, great, and you eat it, and then you later find out that it's not. That doesn't mean you're not vegan enough. That was an accident. That was a mistake. That was out of your control. Those things happen all the freaking time. They will always happen to you. Just happened to me like last week. So forgive yourself for that, move on, and know that your intention and your heart is in the right place. Yeah. And that's, to me, like what the major difference is like, is your intention in the right place.
I love that.
I think that's the best way to put it. And that's like how I feel too, but you just said it better.
Yeah. No, you both said it amazing.
I think two things when it comes to how I would define vegan enough. I think the first would be in line with what you said. If you are not eating meat, dairy, or eggs, and you are not contributing to cruelty whenever possible, you are vegan, period. And I think you can stop there, and the good that you're doing in this world is enough, period. But I think if you, let's say, like you said, there's always room for improvement. Let's say you do want to do more and you feel like I can be doing more and I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I think one thing that would be really helpful is to think about what you're naturally good at and use whatever talents you have been given in this life to be an activist in that way. So I love to cook. I'm not necessarily someone who feels comfortable going to marches or petitions or debating people. Like, I would love to be an Earthling Ed, but that is not my strength. My strength is cooking, and I can share the vegan message through sharing food with my friends and family. And it's a gentle approach. It's a fun, social approach. It's something that, spreads it in a way that is using my talents. Oprah, I'm sorry I talk about Oprah so much, you guys.
But I love it.
You're excited. You have an event coming up.
But she says that basically if you can use your personality to project your passion in the world, then that's the sweet spot, and that's when you're in alignment. So it's like if you use your talents to express what's in your heart, that's when it's going to be the most effective and something that feels really good, and it will feel like enough if you can find that. So you don't have to be any other kind of vegan if it doesn't feel right to you. You can practice activism in a way that feels right to you, and I think that's good.
I love what you said about that. I have to touch on another thing, like I've gotten comments about people saying I'm not vegan enough because I haven't gone to marches or pig saves.
Me too.
And like I have panic attacks and anxiety. Things like marches, I just don't go to. Like it's not a good place for me to go. And like when I like can't articulate enough that I like have these things and I can't control it. And like of course I would love to support, but like I can't do it. And I know I struggled with it a lot because I felt horrible about myself because I was like, why am I like this? And I'm like just accepting who I am and like what I'm doing and like who I am as a person and like all flaws and all the good things together, and knowing that's enough is so powerful.
But I hate that person made you feel bad because you spread the vegan message on two different YouTube channels, on social media, on your Instagram stories, in real life, and just by living as a vegan, like I said, you're doing so much good. But those comments really get in your head.
Yeah, but
not you. I mean, in general, people.
Oh no, they get in my head too. No, like it's impossible. Like I'm human, but it's good to know that like now I have a coping strategy when I can like take a step back, re-examine like why does this make me feel bad? Like do I actually feel bad because I have anxiety and I'm kind of embarrassed about it? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna speak out about that because there are other people out there who are feeling bad like about it too, and who are vegan, who don't want to go and who don't want to speak up or making themselves miserable going. And it's just, you have to know like who you are is enough. And like just because someone else's life looks a certain way doesn't mean you have to be that kind of vegan. Like you're vegan.
Be yourself.
And activism happens in so many different forms. It's not just going to the pig vigils, the pig saves. It's not just marching. It's every time you're sitting down and having a meal or buying a product, that in itself is a form of activism.
Vote with your dollar.
Exactly.
And if the pig vigils are like something you feel really empowered by and like uplifted, like yes,
go. Like I applaud the people that can do. I applaud the people that can always shop small, always make like the very best, most
co-op vegan.
Exactly. I applaud you. It's not realistic for me. And also personally going to one of those pig vigils, I've thought about it so many times. But I'm also a deeply, deeply sensitive person, and I think if I were to be in that,
I would
so
have like
Yeah.
a full breakdown. Like I even watching them, I know it's a trigger.
and I feel like it would be debilitating for me to go to the point where I wouldn't be able to move forward, because it just would bring my energy down so low, and I feel like it would make me feel almost hopeless about the future. So I choose to maybe take a slightly more passive approach. I donate to organizations that do a lot of the activism. That's a great way to get involved. I will volunteer at the animal shelter. Yeah. And then every time I eat, buy products. You know, it's like doing what you can. What the message that we've been saying this whole time.
Yeah, I just want to make an aside. We get a lot of questions about like medication and people like insulin, like thyroid medication that have been tested on animals, like certain. There's just all this kind of medication that's been tested on animals like way back when they were developing it.
Yeah.
And like that falls under like practicable when able to be practiced, because like you don't want to just die because your medication is tested on animals. That's ridiculous. I hate people who make people who have to take medication feel bad for it. It is not right. And if you're one of those people who's being made to feel bad about that, like your life is valuable, and I don't think you should feel bad about not being vegan enough. It's crazy.
Yeah. The way I think about that is if you are taking a medication that keeps you healthy, your longevity and your ability to make an impact for a longer amount of time is preserved. So don't cut back on a medication if you need it or whatever, because you're not even then going to potentially be here long enough to help the animals. So it's a give and take.
So true.
Please take your medicine if you need it.
Yes, take your medicine.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, well, we hope that was helpful for you guys. I know this is a very complicated and kind of touchy subject, and the thing is it's going to be individual, and there's no right or wrong blanket statement. So especially in those types of situations, it's really hard to sort of say this is 100% right. There's no absolute. So because of that, we would love for you guys to chime in the comments and let us know, when have you been made to feel either by yourself or by someone else that you were not vegan enough? Go ahead and tell us about it. I think especially just being open and honest is really important when it comes to this topic in particular, because it makes you feel like, one, you're not alone, and two, that you are vegan enough, because I'm sure people will all chime in and just be like, no, you're awesome.
We've all been there.
Let us know what you're going through in the comments. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks. I love it.
I loved all the stuff you shared, and I feel like you're such an open book with this kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you guys want to follow Devyn, we will have all of her links in the description box below, as well as our individual channels and a link to our Facebook group. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you're not already. Give it a thumbs up, because that really helps out our channel, and we will see you guys in a video next Monday. Bye.